Alert.
Good afternoon. Welcome into our continuing coverage of the breaking news, the investigation into the disappearance and reappearance of Carlee Russell.
Yes, we're waiting right now for a news conference for Hoover Police. We understand the police chief, Nick Durzis, will be there, along with the mayor, Frank Brucato. They're setting up right now, along with all the investigators involved in this case. This is all part of that investigation. There is a protocol that goes along with an investigation. Everyone is so glad that Carlee Russell was returned to her home on Saturday, but now this is all part of it to figure out if there is a kidnapper on the loose. We have had no indications of that. We have had no indications if the public is in danger, and these are the kinds of answers we are hoping to get at this news conference.
To be completely transparent, listen, y'all, we live in this community just like you do. So many of us, so many of our friends have been following this case so closely as you have for ever since this began on Thursday night and early Friday morning. And of course, so many unanswered questions now about what happened to Carlee, where she was for those 48 hours. And the number one question, as you said, Sarah, that everybody wants answered and believes they deserve an answer to from just a public safety standpoint is there a danger to the public? Is there a threat to the public? Is there an abductor on the loose? That's, of course, one of perhaps the most prominent key question that we hope police will answer today. But there are so many others, including new questions based upon what they told us last night, new information that we just learned about 9 p.m. last night.
That's right. We have that on your screen right there, the details in the Carlee Russell case. She went to the Target on Highway 280, bought snacks. Police releasing this information saying they haven't found evidence of a toddler. And we also have that traffic cam video showing what appears to be her vehicle stopping on the interstate I-459 around mile marker 11. But you also notice there were a lot of other vehicles driving along there as well. And police in this statement that they gave us said they had no other calls about a toddler being spotted on the interstate at that time.
Also said that they've gotten a video from neighbors in the area, in the neighborhood where Carlee lives with her parents in Hoover, and said that video shows her walking alone along the sidewalk before she arrived at her home Saturday night about 10:45 when her family called 911 to report that she was home and safe. And then, of course, they said, the police said they talked to Carlee very briefly around that time when she first returned home, but had been waiting for a chance to follow up with her, do a more in-depth question and answer session and interview to get more details about what happened to her, where she was during those 48 hours, and say they're still waiting for the chance to get that follow-up interview. As of last night, they said, in other words, she had not been made available to them again. And so again, Hoover Police have been waiting several days to try and have her help them answer so many of the questions that we all have about what exactly happened.
So let's give everybody a background. Maybe you have not heard about this case and you need to know why we're breaking into programming. This all began Thursday evening at 9:34. Hoover Police getting a 911 call from Carlee Russell saying that she had spotted a toddler on the side of the road on I-459 heading south at mile marker 11 there, and that she was going to stop and investigate. She also, according to police, called a family member who said while they were on the phone with Carlee that the phone was still open, but they lost contact with her and heard her scream.
Right, and you see the police responding here. This is along the side of 459, and again, the traffic cam video, which we were the first to break for you last Friday night, showed about 3 minutes from the time you see what we believe to be Carlee's car pulling over there, kind of rolling along the side of the interstate there for quite some time before stopping. About 3 minutes later, police show up, and it said when they got there, she was not there. Her car was still there, her cell phone, her wig, I believe her Apple Watch was all inside there, but Carlee was not. So where did she go in those 3 minutes, and then the 48 hours afterwards was a huge question mark, obviously. And then police did say last night that Carlee, I think they said she ended the call with a 911 operator and then called that family member, has been described both as a sister-in-law, their brother's girlfriend, and then told her what was going on, and that's when suddenly they heard the scream, and she drops out of the call, but the phone was still open when they got to the car. We have a little bit of a statement from Carlee's mom, which was released to us yesterday afternoon, about 24 hours ago. Talitha Robinson Russell saying in part, Carlee has given detectives her statement, and hopefully they are pursuing her abductor. It's up to law enforcement to determine what information they want to release and when. Well, the when we know is now within the next 60 seconds, we believe that press conference will begin. The what, of course, Sarah, a very big question mark.
Very big question mark. And again, I want to remind people that we have her full lengthy statement from Talitha Robinson Russell, Carlee's mom, on our WBRC News app right now if you want to just scan over and see some of the information that she released there. This case has been one that just so emotional. When we go back to on Friday, when we got that information from police, and there was a search ensuing, and there were people gathering, and vigils are being planned, you saw so much unity in our community. But after she returned home, you're seeing people asking questions, and some people are very divided now over this case. And so this news conference is designed to help with that.
So many unanswered questions. What was obviously almost universal apprehension and fear and concern has now turned to certainly skepticism in some corners. Let's see what Hoover Police can tell us.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Frank and Pam Bearfield Training Center. I'm Captain Keith Sescaleba, that's spelled Keithsescaleba, with the Hoover Police Department. Joining me at the podium today will be Hoover Mayor Frank Brocato, spelled Brocato, and Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis, spelled Derzis. You may also hear from Lieutenant Daniel Lowe, spelled Lowe, of the Hoover Police Investigations Division. Mayor Brocato will make a brief opening statement, and then Chief Durzis will read a prepared statement. After Chief's statement is complete, there will be an opportunity to ask a few questions regarding this investigation. Keep in mind that this is still an ongoing investigation, so there may be some questions that we cannot answer. With that, I will turn it over to Mayor Brocato.
Thank you and good afternoon for you all coming today. You know, 6 days ago our community learned about the disappearance of Carlee Russell, and it sent fear and pandemonium not just through our city but the entire state and the nation as well. The media quickly joined us to get the word out about Carlee. Our community sprung into action and they organized search parties, arranged prayer vigils, and they took other steps that I'm not even aware of to help in this situation. The Hoover Police Department quickly rallied multiple partner agencies, stopping at nothing to find Carlee. I'd like to take this time to say thank you first to the Hoover Police Department, our partner agencies, our wonderful community, and to all those that aided in some way in connection with this situation. As the days have gone on and more information has been shared, we know everyone has questions. The Hoover Police Department is known for being very methodical and thorough with their investigations. For that reason, we did not feel comfortable speaking in detail publicly until now. It is important that we share this information now so that our community can be put at ease. So at this time, I'll turn the microphone over to Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank everyone for being here today. Besides me stands the team who played a significant role in this investigation. I want to thank our department, members of surrounding local law enforcement agencies, the FBI, Secret Service, United States Marshals, and ALEA for their assistance in this case. We said from the evening of July 13th, our focus would be the safe return of Carlee Russell. That occurred on Saturday, July 15th, approximately 49 hours after she called 911 and disappeared. From that point, our focus has been to determine Carlee's whereabouts during that time and what exactly took place. Let me say up front, this investigation is not over. We're still working this case, and we'll be working this case until we uncover every piece of evidence that helps us account for the 49 hours that Carlee Russell was missing. However, through the public interest, and in some cases, public fear that this story has generated, we owe it to our citizens to tell them the facts that we have uncovered. So I will give you the facts that we know today. On July 13th, at approximately 8:20 p.m., Carlee left work from a business at the Summit. Surveillance video from her place of employment shows Carlee concealed a dark-colored bathrobe, a roll of toilet paper, and other items belonging to the business prior to her departure. She ordered food from Tzatziki's at the Colonnade and traveled there. She then traveled to Target on 280, where she purchased some granola bars and Cheez-Its. From there, she remained in the parking lot at that shopping center until 9:21 p.m. when she drove to I-459. Carlee communicated on her cell phone with individuals known to her while on her path of travel up to the point of calling 911 at 9:34 p.m. And at this time, we will play the 911 call in its entirety.
Hi, I am on Interstate 459, and there is a kid just walking by themselves.
Oh, hold on. Where on 459 are you?
I'm right next to the exit 10 by the Hoover Med, like to get off by the Hoover Med.
Okay, so you're before that exit?
Yes.
Okay, and were you headed southbound or northbound? Like towards that split or towards 280?
Towards Tuscaloosa.
Okay, and was the child on the left or right side?
On the right side.
Were they walking northbound or southbound?
They're walking towards Tuscaloosa.
Walking southbound, or how old do they look?
Like a toddler, like maybe like 3 or 4.
Did you pull over with them? Are you still with them?
Yes.
Okay, are you with the child right now?
No, I'm not. I didn't get out of the car. I can see them though.
Do you mind staying and keeping an eye on them until we get there?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, what kind of car are you in?
I'm in a red Mercedes-Benz
Is it a sedan or SUV?
SUV. I mean, it's a sedan. Sorry.
Can you put your hazards on for me?
Yeah, they're on.
Okay. Did you talk to the child at all, or did you say anything to them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do they look like they're injured?
No, they don't.
Are they white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
They're white.
Okay. Is it male or female?
I think it's a boy, a little boy.
White male? Okay. So is he wearing clothes?
Yes.
Okay. What is he wearing?
It's a white t-shirt, and it doesn't look like he has any pants on. It looks like a diaper.
And you don't see any cars anywhere?
No, no cars anywhere.
Okay. All right. What's your name?
My name is Carlee Russell.
And you don't see any injuries on the child from where you're at, correct?
No, but I can't really see them that good.
Okay. Try to keep an eye on them for the best that you can, because I don't want you to lose track of them.
Okay.
All right. And do they have shoes on?
No.
Shoes?
Not that I can see. I can't really see that. Look.
Okay. All right. I've got them on the way, okay? Just try to keep an eye on them, but the officers are on the way, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Carlee called a relative after speaking with the 911 operator. She went missing during that conversation sometime after 9:36 p.m. Traffic camera footage was obtained which depicted this portion of the incident, and that footage was analyzed as part of the investigation in conjunction with the 911 call and cell phone data to accurately determine the time frame. Carlee's 911 call remains the only report of a child on the interstate, despite numerous vehicles passing through the area at that time. No one has called to report that a child is missing, and the Hoover Police Department did not locate any evidence of a small child walking down the interstate. Data from Carlee's phone, including her Life 360 app, shows that she traveled approximately 600 yards in her vehicle while she was on the phone with 911, stating that she was following a child. 600 yards. That is 6 football fields straight. 600 yards. The Hoover 911 Center received a second call from Carlee's mother stating that a relative was on the phone with her when they heard Carlee scream, and then they had an open phone line. Hoover police officers arrived on the scene within 5 minutes of being dispatched, and several other officers arrived shortly. They located Carlee's wig and cell phone in the grass near the vehicle. Her purse was located in the front seat of her vehicle with her Apple Watch in the purse. The food she ordered for Tzatziki's was also in the car. The items she purchased from Target, as well as the items taken from her place of employment, were not in the vehicle, nor were they located anywhere around the scene. Hoover Police deployed all available assets from the point in the search for Carlee. Additional resources were called in to include our own drone unit, crime scene investigators. Numerous detectives responded to the scene. Throughout the day Friday, officers from surrounding local and federal agencies assisted Hoover Police in the search for Carlee Russell. Officers returned to the scene on 459 to conduct a thorough line search for evidence. K-9 teams from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department responded to check for any sign of Carlee, the child that she claimed to see, and anything else that could be considered evidence in this case. Those searches all turned up empty. Private citizens, including search parties organized by her family, friends, began looking everywhere that they could to find any trace. These searches took place throughout the day Friday and again on Saturday, yielding nothing. At 10:44 p.m. on July 15th, the Hoover 911 center receives a call from Carlee's residence stating that she returned home on foot. In subsequent investigations, detectives obtained surveillance footage of Carlee walking down the sidewalk alone prior to arrival at her residence. She was conscious and speaking with paramedics when she was transported to UAB. Detectives were able to obtain a brief statement from her prior to being treated and released. During the statement, she told detectives that while traveling down the interstate, she saw a baby walking down the side of the road and called 911. She stated when she got out of her vehicle to check on the child, a man came out of the trees and mumbled that he was checking on the baby. She claimed that the man then picked her up and she screamed. She stated he then made her go over a fence. She claims he then forced her into a car, and the next thing she remembers is being in the trailer of an 18-wheeler. She stated that the male was with a female. However, she never saw the female, only hearing her voice. She also told detectives she could hear a baby crying. She told detectives the male had orange hair with a big bald spot on the back. She said she was able to escape the 18-wheeler and fled on foot, only to be captured again and then was put in a car. She claimed she was then blindfolded but was not tied up because the captor said they did not want to leave impressions on her wrists. She said that they took her into a house and made her get undressed. She believes they took pictures of her, but she does not remember them having any physical or sexual contact. She stated the next day she woke up and was fed cheese crackers by the female. She said the woman also played with her hair, but could not remember anything else. At some point, she was put back in a vehicle she claims was able to escape while it was in the West Hoover area. She told detectives she ran through lots of woods until she came out near her residence. During this interview, detectives noted that Carlee had a small injury to her lip, and she claimed that her head was hurting. She also had a tear in her shirt. Detectives also noted that she had $107 cash in her right sock. Out of respect for Carlee and her family, detectives did not press for additional information in this interview and made plans to speak with her in detail after giving her time to rest. Detectives continue analyzing data from Carlee's cell phone that was left behind at the scene. We enlisted the help of the United States Secret Service in conducting this analysis. Part of what data included several internet searches in the days leading up to their disappearance that I think are very relevant to this case. On July 11th at 7:30 a.m., the term, "Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert?" was searched. On July 13th at 1:03 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term, "How to take money from a register without being caught," was searched. On July 13th at 2:13 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term Birmingham bus station was searched. On July 13th, 2:35 a.m., a search for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville was conducted with a departure date of July 13th. On July 13th at 12:10 p.m., a search for the movie Taken, a film about abduction, was conducted. There were two searches related to Amber Alerts on a computer at Carlee's place of employment, including one regarding the maximum age of an Amber Alert. There were other searches on Carlee's phone that appeared to shed some light on her mindset, but out of respect for her privacy, we will not be releasing the content of those searches at this time. We've asked to interview Carlee a second time, but have not been granted that request. As you can see, there are many questions left to be answered, but only Carlee can provide those answers. What we can say is that we've been unable to verify most of Carlee's initial statement made to investigators, and we have no reason to believe that there is a threat to the public safety related to this particular case. Thank you very much.
With that, we'll open the floor for some questions. Please raise your hand and I will call on you. Carol.
Chief, do you expect any charges against Carlee Russell in connection with the disappearance and in connection with what was taken from the Woodhouse spa?
Right now, our focus is to determine those 49 hours, so the investigation continues. So to be perfectly honest with you, that hasn't even entered our mind or been discussed.
One more question. Is it surprising to you that the family has not been cooperative in returning to be questioned?
Well, I think the family has stated to us that they didn't think that in her mental state right now, because of trauma of the incident, that she's not ready to talk, is what we've been told.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, question for Chief. You stated that the abductor had orange hair. Was this abductor black male? Was it female? Black female? White female?
I believe it's a white male. Am I correct by saying that? Was it ever? Yes, yeah, white male.
Is this alleged abductor yet on loose in the Hoover area?
Don't believe so.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief Brittany Dion, WBRC. Has a toxicology report been done, and were any drugs or illegal substances found in her system?
We have no report of that.
Is any indication of mental illness in this case?
There's been a concern in the community that if this turned out not to be a true story, that the next time a young woman of color was missing, that it might not be taken seriously. How would you respond to that?
I'd respond to say that we investigate every crime to the fullest, just like we have this one.
Was she traveling with anyone? Excuse me. Was she traveling with anyone since the time she disappeared, to your knowledge?
And not to my knowledge.
Chief, I know you said you weren't able to verify a lot of aspects of the story. Where do you think she went, and how would you characterize what happened here?
You know, that's the $100 question. You know, we pretty much know exactly what took place from the time she left work until she got on the 911 call, and we can see getting out of the car on the interstate from that footage. And after that, I think she only knows. We don't know.
Well, one quick follow-up. Her parents. Did you speak with Carlee's parents, and why do you think it is they were so adamant that there was an abductor?
Yeah, I think parents are believing what their daughter's saying, and we've had a very good rapport with the parents, met with them on several occasions. I've talked to them today a few times, and to make them understand that we're under pressure from our community, not only in our community of the state, but nationally when the story hit. And I just wanted them to understand that today we were going to have a press conference, and what we were going to detail today are facts. And everything that I've told you today is actual facts. It's not innuendos. It's not what I think. It's not what these detectives think. It is the factual information that we have.
Chief, Ajay Robinson, WBRC. How much time do you think you'll give the family before going back to Carlee for sentencing?
Well, I think our detectives have talked to the parents, and we're ready. We're ready to talk as soon as she's ready. So, you know, if she called right now, we're ready.
You had one word to describe what went on. What would that word be?
How about unknown? You know, we know the facts that we have. Everything else is unknown at this time.
In the back.
What have the past few days been like for you, your department? This has been a stressful search, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. And again, the focus of the investigation that Thursday, when she went missing, of course, the focus was to get Carlee home. That's what we want all. We wanted her safe and sound. And that's all happened. And then, of course, this has gotten to be not only a local, state story, but a national story. So, you know, it is. It's a lot of stress on everyone in the Hoover Police Department, and the mayor, to every citizen here. We want to know the truth.
As you stand here, are you frustrated?
I wouldn't say I'm frustrated. I mean, I'm very happy that Carlee's home. That was the main ingredient here, and then we'll figure it out. I promise you that. We'll end up figuring it out.
Any idea about the number of manpower hours or the expense of the drones and all the rest of the search that might cost the city and the state and federal government?
Yeah, we haven't had time to consider that, but it's again, these detectives that are here, this is just a small group of people that have been associated with this case. We have put every available resource that we have on this case because we wanted to make sure that we found out everything. We wanted to get her home, and we have.
Was there any prior indication of mental health problems?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you just expand on the people from the state, the federal resources brought in? What were they doing exactly as you all were searching for her? Can you just expand on that?
Sure. A lot of the from the FBI side, several agents helping us interview. I mean, as you well know, in a case like this, especially when it goes national, we got hundreds and hundreds of calls. And when you get those calls, some of them may just be outlandish, but you've got to follow up on them because you never know that you may get that one tidbit. And I'd also say too that we had a great cooperation with the family. The family received hundreds and hundreds of tips, and every time they got a tip, they sent it to us.
Would you say a crime has been committed in this case?
We have not determined that, no.
Keith Mims, WAGG 610 Summit Media. Question for Chief. With all of the searches that you mentioned, Chief, that were on Carlee's phone, does that kind of give you an indication of her mind state during this ordeal, the 48 hours that she went missing? Well,
again, we want to talk in facts, and I do think it's highly unusual to the day that someone gets kidnapped, that 7 hours, 8 hours before that they're searching the internet, Googling the movie Taken about an abduction. I find that very, very strange, yes.
Yes. Do you feel confident, do your investigators feel confident that you know why Carlee Russell may have done this?
No, we do not know. Absolutely not.
Chief, can you explain for us, you mentioned that while I believe you said that Carlee was on the phone with 911, she was traveling 6 football fields, which tells you what?
Which tells me that I've had kids, and I'm sure a lot of people here have, and it's very, very, again, she said it, and I'm not saying it couldn't happen because I've always been one of these guys, never say never, but 6 football fields. I like athletics, I like football. 6 football fields. To think that a toddler, barefoot, that could be 3 or 4 years old, is going to travel 6 football fields without getting in the roadway, without crying, without any just moving down. It's just very hard for me to understand.
Chief, have you used any technology to enhance the video from 459, and did you see a man grab her?
We did not see, from what we can tell. We don't see anybody on the interstate other than her car and then someone getting out of her driver's side. We have sent that off to the FBI for enhancement. It has not been returned.
Do you think in this case that charges will be forthcoming towards Carlee Russell, and how serious of a crime is it to not only fabricate a 911 call, but to lie to law enforcement during an investigation?
Well, again, that's not something that we've been discussed since we're going through the still investigation. But, people have to understand that when someone says something like this, we put every available resource. Everybody comes together from, like I say, state, local, federal. It's just a lot of work, and the gentleman earlier said frustrating. I mean, it is a little frustrating to think that all this has been done and we can't find anything out.
Did anyone see her calling in from the side of the road when she made that 911 call?
No, not to my knowledge.
All right, last question here.
Is this investigation held up until you can speak once again to Carlee Russell?
Well, there's a few things that we're still doing, but obviously we want to talk to Carlee as soon as we can. And do an in-depth interview, and at that time, I think we'll have these investigators doing some other things. So
that's all the questions we're going to answer today. We appreciate you guys coming, and we'll be following up with y'all later. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Frankly, sir, what was a surprising amount of information. Brittany Dion there, one of our 2 crews giving us team coverage. We'll get to Brittany in a second for her thoughts. She was in the room, but I think you and I both were just scribbling furiously or typing and tweeting furiously. So much information that we got today that was jaw-dropping, I think is fair to say.
I thought when they released the 911 call, that would be the most important thing, but I think the searches that they said Carlee made prior to this abduction were telling to Police Chief Durzis.
And let's go through a little of those. And again, we'll get to Brittany Dion, our Anjanae Robinson, both inside the room, both asking questions. You heard them asking some questions during that press conference. So many new details. Let's maybe go chronologically if you want. The first new detail we got about early that night is that they believe surveillance video shows Carlee Russell concealing items, including a bathrobe and I believe something else,
Toilet paper
that belongs to the business where she works at the Summit, which is a spa, concealing that as she left the business about 8:30 Thursday night. She then goes to the Target on 280. That's something new we just learned last night. They told us now what she bought, which was granola bars and Cheez-Its. Say she was in the parking lot there until she begins to after she picked up the tzatziki's, went to Target then, got the snack items, and then was in this parking lot until she begins to head down I-459 and begins to make a series of calls that sets this entire thing into motion. We heard, as you said, the 911 call, which was extremely interesting just to hear her voice, hear what she was telling the 911 operator.
That happened at 9:34. The operator was asking her a number of questions. What did the child look like? It was a white little boy, no pants, wearing a diaper, wearing a white T-shirt.
3 or 4 years old.
3 or 4 years old. There was more information. Do you see anyone else around the child? Do you see a car around the child? No. A lot of more information coming out.
It was a very, I think calm may be the word that I kept thinking, or very normal, if there is such a, I don't know if there's a normal 911 call to be made, but it was a calm interchange between Carlee and the 911 operator describing what she was seeing. And in fact, and this is something we've kind of been wondering about, who terminated that call? Well, it appeared like it was sort of a mutual, okay, we've conducted our business, there's an officer on the way, and the call ends. And that's when Carlee then calls a family member and begins to describe what she's seen. Now, here's the key, though. Cell phone data, Hoover Police says, shows that she was traveling about 600 yards, and Chief Durzis stopped down to emphasize that's 6 football fields, moving along the side of the interstate as this entire call was playing out. And you saw in the video we got that her car wasn't just stationary, it was moving quite a bit of ways. This is the video we're talking about, and you see it. So she's moving down the interstate here, and wherever she started, she ends up here at the kind of top left side of the frame. That was a total, he says, of about 600 yards of travel while she's making this call, and that was one of the first things that he pointed to that called into question perhaps her version of events.
So our Brittany Dion was at that news conference. We're going to go to her now. Brittany, one of the questions someone asked was a crime committed? Chief Durzis saying we don't have that evidence right now, something to that effect. What can you add to this story?
Yeah, that's right, Sarah. Chief Durzis is saying that they do want to speak to Carlee Russell again about the events that occurred that night when she disappeared. Now, as Jonathan and yourself have recounted about some of the new pieces of information that we just received here minutes ago, the searches on her cell phone up to the moment she disappeared, Chief Durzis saying that she looked up the movie Taken, which is about a young woman being abducted. She also looked up bus tickets from Birmingham to Nashville. She was also believed to have taken some items from her job that night, and those items were not recovered. So a lot of media in the room questioning the mental health of Carlee Russell tonight, but Chief not expanding on that, saying that he would not expose that personal information about her as they continue to investigate this case. Again, I think that is the important nugget, one of them, that police have not dropped this just yet. They are still looking into every aspect, combing through all of the information she has given them to come to a final conclusion. At the very end, we explicitly asked Hoover PD, the chief, if he believes this was a hoax, but we were cut off at that point and he was not able to answer that question. But again, they continue to search through this information as well as try to verify any of the information that was given to them about the events that occurred that night.
Brittany,
Sarah, Jonathan.
Brittany, one of the things Sarah talked about, I think the the most eye-popping part of all this was those search terms. You mentioned a couple of them. Let me list a couple of more. They say on July 11th, she searched the term, "Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert?" On the morning, early morning, like 1 a.m. of the day she actually disappeared, somebody searched, I'm sorry, I should say, on her phone it was searched. No way to prove who did that. On her phone was searched the terms, "How to take money from a register without being caught." Birmingham bus station, you mentioned the bus ticket, the movie Taken. So as you're in the room, Brittany, and hearing the chief begin to list this, first of all, it's a level of detail I don't think any of us expected to perhaps get from this press conference. But then you're hearing these search terms and when they took place and on her device. What is going through your mind, or what's sort of the atmosphere in that room as this shocking information, for lack of a better term, begins to spill out?
Well, Jonathan, this room is filled with media, so everyone was intently listening to every detail that the chief gave us. As you said, we did get a lot more information about what police have been looking at, what they have been combing through, and as you said, the searches on her phone that afternoon that someone made or she made from her phone. They said they received that data after sending it to the United States Secret Service, who analyzed her phone for those searches. Like you said, July 11th, as looking for if an Amber Alert has to be paid for, how much money to register for that, looking at the bus tickets as well as how to take money from a register. They also did mention that some items were taken from the job that night. So I believe there's still many details that they are combing through at this time, and we do expect more information to be uncovered in this case. But right now, police are saying that the information about the child on the side of the road cannot be verified. They have no reports of a baby on the side of the road. We asked them if they enhanced that video from 459 and if they were able to see someone grab her there or a child, and none of that was seen on that video. But that, again, that has been sent off to be analyzed. Police said that they are waiting on that to be returned to them as well. But police, again, Jonathan, not dropping this, still investigating this case.
One of the other things, ongoing investigation is probably one of the main terms of this news conference. But also the first time we heard the police saying the pressure that they were under to have more information and give more information to the public. Can you expound on that about?
Absolutely, Sarah. We felt that pressure as well. When this all first came out, we believed, as well as the community, that this young woman was possibly abducted. And the community, understandably nervous, afraid, frustrated that it took so long to get some sort of information about a suspect, or if police were even searching for a suspect. So we, Sarah, continue to reach out to police to ask them if they had a suspect description, if there was a kidnapper or abductor on the loose. We have heard Carlee Russell's mother say that she was hoping they're searching for the abductor, and police today saying that they were not doing that or do not believe there's any danger to the public. So hopefully that puts some of the viewers at this time at ease. Police saying again that they do not believe there is any danger to the public.
Yeah, Brady, I think it's important that there's just a flood of new information, and a lot of it very eye-popping, jaw-dropping, you want to say, but let's not get lost in all that detail of that, only to lose the main point of this, which the general safety, public safety question that was unanswered to this point and now is that there is no threat to the public. So if you take nothing else away from this, everyone should rest assured there is no threat to the public. Again, it's something we've been hearing in chatter off the record now for a little while, but it's on the record now, and Hoover Police make that clear. So that was their sort of main public safety responsibility. You can check that box. They're telling you there is no public safety threat. You're in the room, though, and I want to ask you about Chief Durzis, and you, to your credit, and a couple of other reporters tried to ask in a few different ways basically the same question, which is how frustrated are you by the number of resources that was spent on this search and this case, by the pressure that Sarah was referencing earlier they have had to deal with. And just one of the quotes, he says, I wouldn't say I'm frustrated. I'm happy Carlee is home. That was the main ingredient. And everybody agrees on that point. That's not to be lost. He says, we'll figure it out. I promise you that. So you can read his body language for us. You're in the room. How do you read where he and perhaps some of his officers who spent some really long nights in the last couple of days trying to answer those questions?
He seemed pretty solid, content in the information he gave us today. He appears to feel confident in what they are releasing at this point in the investigation. Police did their job and are doing their job. It is part of the process of protecting the public. They brought in state and federal resources to look for this young woman. Someone even asked about black women now not getting the attention that they would need if another black woman in this community goes missing. Chief saying that they would put any resources necessary to bringing anyone home. So I think that is an important piece of information to think about as well, because I have heard the community making those statements, concerned that if the next African-American woman, black woman goes missing, will she get the same resources? Will she get the same attention from law enforcement? Chief saying, yes, they will, and anyone who goes missing in their community, they will put all the resources behind finding them. As you heard, they put up drones. There were canines brought in, as well as search teams, federal and state. So, and the community definitely stepped up. We had so many people who reached out, so many people meeting up at Hoover, met 8 a.m. in the morning, searching, combing through the woods, knocking on doors, walking streets, giving out those flyers. This was an entire effort from police and the community to bring Carlee home. And as the chief said, that was their main goal from the very beginning, to get her back home to her family. And now the questions are being answered, and the community wants to know what happened. And the chief, again, telling folks that they don't believe that there's any danger to the public, but they will continue to seek the truth. And of course, once we learn about it, we will share it with you, the viewer. Jonathan, Sarah?
I think the words we want to use for the Chief Jersey is it was very respectful to the family, wanting to preserve that relationship that he says was a good relationship with the family. They have been cooperative with him. They have asked to interview Carlee again and have been denied, saying she is not in the frame of mind to have those questions at her right now.
And to your point, Brittany, I think the point he was trying to make was, look, it doesn't really matter to us what the person who's missing looks like. We're going to do everything we can to find any missing person, and that's what we did in this case, and that's what we would do again tomorrow, sort of a reassurance to the public. And I want to, while you're with us, Brittany, I want to break a little bit of news here. Thanks to our Claire Huddleston. We learned, of course, that they think there's video showing Carlee, as he put it, very careful legal term there, concealing property that belonged to her business and leaving with it, okay? He didn't use the term stealing, but that's the implication, at least. So we reached out to her business and asked, are they considering pressing charges? The answer we just got, I'm quoting here, we're considering all of our options. If we do, it would be in the Birmingham Police Department's jurisdiction. That an update from the business where Carlee Russell works or worked, and where police say video indicates that she concealed some items belonging to that business and left with them Thursday night, shortly before she disappeared. So that new update just into our newsroom.
A lot to go over here from this news conference. Chief Jersey is saying we put every available resource that we have on this case, naming the FBI, the Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, ALEA, not to mention local municipalities, all of those police forces also joining in, canine units, as you said, and they still want to know what happened within those 49 hours that Carlee Russell was missing.
And one thing, Brittany, if you're still with us, that I want you to help back me up here, because I was trying to take notes. Sarah and I both were extremely fast about what they say Carlee told them Saturday night. She gets home, they call 911, Hoover Police respond, ask her a couple of questions about what happened, and then they kind of went through the timeline of what she laid out, what she remembers about what she says happened to her. And basically, Brittany, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you can hear us, she says that she pulled over, she saw that child, she gets out, and some man who was mumbling about checking on the baby walks out of the woods, basically grabs her, takes her into the woods, throws her in a car at some point. The next thing she remembers, she's in the back of an 18-wheeler with a man and a woman who she says she never really saw the woman. They didn't tie her up, but they took her to her home the next day, made her undress, took pictures of her, but they don't think she doesn't think she was assaulted, fed her some cheese crackers at some point. She ends up with $107 in cash in her sock, I think, and then says they were driving her around Hoover, and somehow she escaped and was able to walk through some thick woods back towards her neighborhood. Am I getting that somewhere in the neighborhood of correct, Brittany, based upon what you were hearing?
Any sort of a journey
Yes, Jonathan, that is accurate. We were told the suspect has orange hair with a bald spot in the back. And again, a woman, she says she was put into an 18-wheeler, taken to some location, a house, and a woman fed her cheese crackers. And then they put her back in a car. This is all according to Hoover PD. And then they say that she was able to escape. And when they got to her, police, she had $107 in her right sock, an injury to her lip, as well as a ripped shirt. So, Jonathan, yes, that is accurate, the details we received from Hoover PD today.
Okay. A lot to go over here in this case.
So much to digest, Brittany. I know you're there to try and digest it for us, as is our Anjanae Robinson. We have team coverage of this story that has just gripped our community, to be frank, since early Friday morning when we learned that Carlee was missing, through the time late Saturday night where we learned that she had returned home safely. And certainly then, as we said, there's been this sort of, Sarah, an emotional arc, if you will, for our community, from just sheer terror and concern and fear to relief, and then to questions and to skepticism that started very slowly and began to build, and pieces just didn't seem to fit. And so then there was this sort of pressing impatience maybe for answers. And we got, I think, to be frank, probably more of them than we even expected today in some sense.
I think you're right. And we're going to go right now to a soundbite from Chief Nick Durzis.
We want to talk in facts, and I do think it's highly unusual to the day that someone gets kidnapped, that 7 hours, 8 hours before that they're searching the internet, Googling the movie Taken about an abduction. I find that very strange, yes.
So for him, perhaps, for Chief Durzis, perhaps the emotional arc now is to frustration. I would say, Sarah, that's probably even over towards anger, perhaps, for some folks who were so invested in both the search process and the concern and everything that's happened since then.
The tone, though, from the chief was very professional, very respectful, but saying we don't deal in innuendo, we don't deal in rumors, we deal in facts, and he laid out the facts of this case very well. And
Brittany, we also know that the chief said they reached out to her parents multiple times today to basically give them a heads up as to what was coming. Hey, we're going to have a press conference today. This is what we're going to unveil. And that was the sort of communication they had with the family, as Sarah said, to try in an effort, I guess, to maintain as much of a healthy relationship with them as possible.
All right, that's right, Jonathan. But as you said earlier, the chief saying that they are dealing in fact in this case. As they uncover the facts, they are going to release them to the public no matter what they are. And it's important that the public is reassured of their safety, and police are really working and combing through that information to make sure that they cross the T's, dot the I's in this investigation. The chief, again, saying there's no threat to the community, but again, they do want to continue to investigate this case, and they will continue to investigate this case. And I believe what Sarah said about his demeanor being respectful to the family, respectful to the entire process. He talked about respecting the process, as it does take time to investigate situations and cases like this. So I expect more information to come out after they speak with her once again, because the chief says they do plan to speak to her again, to Carlee Russell, about the events that unfolded that night. And of course, as we learn more, we will bring you the latest. Jonathan, Sarah.
We're getting another look at that traffic cam video. The night that Carlee disappeared, this is around 9:34 when she made that phone call, that 911 phone call to police in the first place, saying that she saw a child, a toddler about 3 or 4 years old, wandering around the side of the road on I-459, and that child was alone.
That's right. In fact, Sarah, we're just learning that police, Brittany, are telling us they will give us a copy of that 911 call. They played it in the press conference. We're hoping to, and now being told we will obtain a copy of that 911 call. So, of course, we'll have that for you when we get it, and on our digital platforms as well. Brittany, you did a great job last night at 10 of sort of laying out all the questions that we still had, right? Yes. Here are all the things that we still need answers to. I can't put a percentage on it. Maybe you can, because you did such a good job enumerating those. But it feels to me like we got well north of 50% of those questions answered today. Perhaps the biggest one that no one other than, the chief says, Carlee can answer is 2. What happened exactly in those 49 hours? And if it is not, in fact, the version of events that she first gave to first responders, then why?
Absolutely, and they're still working to figure out exactly what happened in those 49 hours, exactly what transpired as they go through surveillance video, cell phone data, checking each location that she went to, and police said they're still trying to figure that out.
And it's amazing with the technology how much they were unable to uncover. The fact that she had concealed some items from her job, the fact that she had bought certain items, she went to Tzatziki's, they were able to trace all of that.
The 600 yards of travel, the internet searches, all those things, a reminder again that everything that is done on these devices at some point can be retraced, and was in this case.
And used in this investigation.
Okay, Brittany Dion, continue our team coverage there. Brittany, thanks so much. We understand you're going to have to wrap up and prepare to give us some more updates as we begin our coverage. Team coverage continuing now on at 4. Thanks for your coverage, and we'll see you again very soon. For our viewers who are perhaps just joining us late, if you just got off of work, just got home from the pool or from camp or some summer activity, several headline-grabbing items in this press conference we just got from Hoover Police, Sarah, perhaps chief among them. There are now several points of evidence, some facts introduced today that certainly call into heavy question the version of events that Carlee Russell first gave first responders.
That includes those searches on her phone, including how to pay for, do you have to pay for an Amber Alert?
A one-way bus ticket to Nashville.
Lots of explaining
The movie
to
Taken.
do.
Yes, there's a lot of those internet searches. The fact that she traveled 600 yards, they believe, based on cell phone data from the time that she started that call until the time that she stopped the vehicle. And so the chief was saying, I can't imagine a 3 or 4-year-old running along the side of the interstate that far, or, you know, how do you, that's a long way to travel. And again, that is, in fact, in some ways backed up by the video we first uncovered for you Friday night, that traffic cam video, which did not show a car just stopped on the side of the road. It showed a car traveling a good distance down the shoulder of 459 before stopping.
So a lot of answers still have to be figured out. Chief Durs is saying that they are not going to stop until they figure out every aspect of what happened to Carlee within those 49 hours she was missing.
So we know hopefully this has answered a lot of your questions. We know a lot of those remain, and we're going to continue answering for those, asking those for you. That is our pledge, that's our job, and what we will continue to do, including, of course, as you spin this forward now, what happens to Carlee Russell? Is there the potential for charges to be filed in this case? That's something we asked the chief a couple of different times, and the answer essentially was that they haven't really gone to that point in their minds yet. They've been simply trying to gather facts about what did happen, and then the determination for if anything happens beyond that is partially up to investigators and partially up to prosecutors or a magistrate judge if it got to that point.
So a lot of questions to answer. We're working on that for you. Our team of reporters working on that, and we're preparing for the 4. So we appreciate you watching and staying with us for this special report. We return you now to your, hold on one second.
All right, sorry, stay with us. We do have some more continuing team coverage as we again are learning a lot more about what happened to Carlee Russell last Thursday night, and then when she reappeared at her family's home on Saturday night. That 48-hour gap is what investigators, in fact, Chief Durzis at one point today said that is a question that perhaps only Carlee can answer, and said these are facts, these are not innuendos, this is not what I think or what they think, pointing to the investigators who have worked this case. These are the facts, and we have told the family we're ready to talk, and so they're hoping for the opportunity to do that. We have a lot of team coverage on this. We've been on this story from the very beginning. You can look at all of that coverage, everything we've uncovered to this point, all the new information we have just gathered. It's all on our WBRC News app. If you don't have it, grab it right now for free. Just scan that QR code at the top right section of your screen. When we get that 911 call from Carlee Russell, you can be assured it'll be available on demand in our WBRC News app, where, by the way, some of you are live streaming this cut-in right now and can also live stream our team coverage, which will continue beginning at 4.
Stay with us. We'll stay on top of this for you.
This has been a